It's time for another episode of Writer's Block, hosted by me, Mark Lever, with our regular guest Gary Thomas and our new guest for today, Eleanna Santorinaiou. And today's topic is Story Part 2, where we'll be discussing characters and writing for an audience. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Time to meet our guests. Gary, do you want to tell us what feedback you've been getting off your mentors?
Yeah, some really useful feedback actually, really helpful. I'm able to take it on to the next stage now. So I've got a feature.
Do you want to say what scripts you've got feedback for?
Yeah, so I got a feature script which is a rom-com, and I've got a TV comedy drama. They're both in the kind of early treatment stage, but Now I know what to do to make them really good, and I can start maybe sending the treatment off to people.
Okay, thank you. Eleanna, do you want to say what you write and what you've written so far?
Yes, I have written 4 children plays now at the moment that they have been played in Greece for, the first one for the last 8 years now it's been playing, and the other ones kept going, and I've just finished my 4th one that is going very well the last month, and I just finished my short film that I have written and directed, and now I'm writing a new short film that I'm trying to get commissioned that is for Greece, and then I'm developing some documentaries ideas that hopefully they could go somewhere.
What would you say for balance between playwriting and sort of short films, or just film like scripts in general?
You mean the balance that I keep, or in general?
What you write, basically. Do you prefer one over the other?
No, I think that they're so different in a way, because the plays have the element also of the interaction, because I'm writing for toddlers, so there is a different thought behind it, and they are very simple stories. And then when you come to short films and features, it's much more complicated, and the audience is different because they cannot interact.
Well, thanks very much for that. Now we move on to the section where we find out what the guests have picked for the chosen script. In every episode, I'll get my guests to pick a script and discuss it. Gary, do you want to say what script you have chosen for today?
My script today is East Great Falls High, and if you don't know what that script is, it is the original title of the script to American Pie.
Okay, how would you say it has written itself, or say a target audience?
Yeah, I think it's clearly for the it's a teen comedy essentially, and it's very funny, and it spawned all the sequels. It's really kind of hit the target really well. It's obviously very enjoyable, and I think for the kind of teenage up to 24, I think probably is the audience for it, and probably the older people as well will find it funny. I think it's kind of, it knew exactly what it was, and it knew the market really well. So obviously it did very well at the box office, and consequently got a number of sequels from knowing its audience.
I mean, it's quite interesting with the latest American Pie is the fact that it was essentially so many years on, like a decade. Yeah. I think at least a decade had passed. So essentially, you're getting people who've obviously grown up, obviously not teen anymore. So therefore, it's interesting. So you've got for adults audience, and you've got obviously for you, kind of teens who are obviously finding or like being seeing American Pie for the first time, basically.
Yeah, they'll see the newest ones, and then they'll go back and watch the early ones on DVD, and they get the box set collection. And maybe their parents have introduced them to American Pie, and now they're watching the rest of the movies.
Yeah, so how many parents introduce their kids to American Pie? Anyway.
I'm sure there's a couple.
Eleanna, what script have you picked?
I have chosen the Pixar's Inside Out. Because I believe that it's a very essential script for a targeted group of 5 years old up to 11, where they have this massive income of feelings, and they started learning how to respond to them. So this film, by portraying the feelings as small little people in your mind, I think is very useful for the children to learn that the feelings is something that I can work on, I can relate to, and they make me who I am. So I believe that was very interesting and helps the children learn about themselves, and it has a very important meaning. And I really like, this is the main story, but then you have like Bing Bong, which is the old doll, that the imaginary friend that the main character has. And again, it's something that is very straightforward, related to these target groups. So I think they did a very good research, and they really targeted these times to children. Whereas you have Ice Age and Shrek that has references for the older, the adult audience as well.
Thanks very much for picking your scripts and talking about them. Anyway, let's get on with the first topic. For our first topic, we're going to talk about character writing. So, Gary, do you want to say what you think makes a strong character?
Yeah, I think you need to kind of write characters that, are real people. Some of the best scripts, you always get people that they say, well, actually, it's kind of someone, I kind of based it on someone, and because they based it on someone, even though that person doesn't know that and they're not a true story, they're like the best characters because they know that person is a real person and they've taken bits from them. What I tend to do is take bits from different people that I know and kind of put them all into one character. But I think what also makes for a good character in a movie especially is flaws. So you have to kind of think what's wrong with them, or what do they want to change in their lives. So you've got like the Legally Blonde character in Elle Woods, who's basically her goal in the first sort of half of the movie. She wants to marry her boyfriend Warner and wants to live with him, and that's kind of her only kind of dream. And then you've got a film like The Proposal, which is the Sandra Bullock character. She's very successful, but she's emotionally unavailable. So she learns throughout the process of the movie that she learns how to connect with people and how to reach into her feelings. And likewise, Elle Woods in Legally Blonde learns that actually getting married is not what she wants. She wants success, and that is actually going to law school. And her definition of success changes by the final film, and she does graduate law school and becomes obviously very successful. So, yeah.
Eleanna, what do you think makes a strong character?
Well, I agree with Gary, because of course you have to make it very realistic, because when you make a superhero and if he doesn't have any flaws, well, I think you kind of start to hate him a bit, because you're thinking that this is not a real person, this is not something that could happen to anyone. So I believe that you must have a character who is multidimensional. It has to have depth, and it has to have flaws, goals. He doesn't have to be a apathetic character. He has to do something. If he's very passive, again, you tend to not to like him. You're waiting for something to happen to his life. And I think I really like when characters are not solid good or solid bad. I like when characters have this little twist either way. For example, Atonement character. She's a very sweet girl. She turns to be a very strong and very nice woman, that she was carrying this secret and this burden the entire life. But the way that the film begins, you see her, let's say, bad side. But because gradually we see that she has feelings, we see that she wants to make it up to her sister and the boyfriend, we like her. She's not a mean girl, she's not a bad person. She has depth, and she has flaws, she has dreams, and she has a kindness. So I do like these characters that are not black or white. I think that's a bit boring, and it's something that we see in older films, I guess. I mean, like
well, not just because the film's actually in black and white.
No.
But yeah, so what would you say is the best way of introducing a character? Like, what do you generally do? for starters, when you first introduce a character in the script, you're supposed to give like a short description on the character. Like, do you have any sort of general rules on what you use, or like, I mean, I generally use kind of like, say, 3 kind of visual kind of descriptive words that tend to be either 1 or 2 words, and that's supposed to give a good sense of character straight away for the writer, for the audience.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you use?
I think that's right, yeah. And obviously in a screenplay you can use maybe 2 or 3 words, like you say, that give you an indication of who that character is, maybe how they're feeling. But also think about their dialogue as well. They need to, each character, one of the hardest things to do is to give each character a distinctive voice. But hopefully, your main character has a really distinctive voice, and that also kind of tells you something about that person. But yeah, in terms of introducing them, certainly it's what are they like, and then what are they doing. The cliche is waking up with the alarm clock and getting ready for work, and it's used because it's good. It's a good idea, and it kind of really does show you what that person is like. But it's kind of overused as well. So trying to think of a really interesting way to not use those sort of cliches. But yeah, you can use all the visual elements as well as a description. Friends is really interesting. The pilot script of Friends, it has it's kind of 2-line description of each character on the front, and they're really great to read, because you read that and you think, yes, that's Monica. Well, yes, that's absolutely how Chandler is. And they're just as a exercise to read scripts like that, and they do that in a lot, not so much in film scripts, but in TV scripts they sometimes have a page of all the characters, so they're really good to look at for reference.
Yeah, I think Modern Family's very good at doing that as well.
Yeah.
You definitely get a sense of the character straight away. But also, I think what's quite interesting to say with Friends script is, I remember reading, I think, various episodes, and you read the dialogue, and quite a lot of it isn't actually that funny, to be honest. It's only really until the actors, who are obviously really good at playing those their characters, it's only until they put their own spin on it that it suddenly becomes funny. So it's kind of like, how much is the sort of balance between what the writer is putting down in the script, and how much is it the actor that kind of brings life to that character. So how much do you think, like, a really good script, it should be obvious straight away what this character should be like?
Yeah, and comedy is really interesting as well, because it's very subjective, and so yes, it could be funny to the writers, but not funny to other people.
Yeah, I also think what I like is to put the characters in action from the very beginning, something that would specify who they are and what they're thinking, what they're believing. So, for example, if you have an old lady and she's walking down the street and she's just pushing somebody because she wants to walk faster, that gives a lot about her, who says that she's not very empathetic and she probably hates people. So I kind of like to add some action that could represent who this character is.
I think some good examples with that is Lost. You've got, I think you start off with the main character sort of zooming out of his eyes, and then gradually you get pushed into the action, and you get revealed certain sort of character traits as the sort of action's going on. And yeah, you've also got that with the first Star Trek film since it's come back as well. It's like a big opening sequence where there's loads of explosions. So thanks very much for all your input, and now let's move on to the next section. In today's episode, I'm going to be testing for guests on their knowledge of movie taglines. The quiz is going to be split into 2 parts, and they've got 1 minute to answer as many as they can. Okay, you ready? Good.
So.
Okay, so you've got 1 minute from now. As far as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a gangster.
No.
Okay, directed by Scorsese.
Gangs of New York?
No, it's
Goodfellas.
Yeah, Goodfellas.
Ooh, that is at the same time.
That was Gary's. Your mind is the scene of the crime. So I would say it's definitely a noughties film. It might be after 2010. It's a Christopher Nolan film. It's all about kind of dreams.
Interstellar?
Oh, no.
Dreams.
Inception.
Inception.
Okay, Fear can hold you prisoner. Hope you can set you free. Fear can hold you prisoner.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, well done. Why so serious?
The Dark Knight.
Yep. Girls like me don't make invitations like this to just anyone. So Quentin Tarantino. Probably.
Kill Bill?
No, it's before that.
True Romance.
Is it the Death Proof?
No, so yeah, it was Pulp Fiction.
Oh, Pulp Fiction.
Okay, anyway, that's the end of the first round. So far, I think Gary's he's quite clearly winning, unfortunately. So it's 3-1 so far to Gary. So anyway, now we've done the first round, it's on to the second topic. For our second topic, we're going to be talking about writing for an audience. So, Eleanna, what audiences have you written for, and how do you think you've changed your script accordingly?
Well, even though it's not film, I think I should talk about my plays, because this is a very demanding audience. You write for 2.5 to 5.5 years old, which are very honest. If they don't like it, they will just get up and be like, oh, I'm bored, can I leave now? And I have seen that happening. So you really have to go back to probably your childhood or see other children and observe what they like, what they don't like, what they find funny. And you really have to get this through your writing. So it is something pleasant mainly for them. I think that you always have to have in mind also the parents, because they kind of have to like it too in order to bring their children, and they all make it as a family day and they are going to enjoy it. So you have to have something that it's not silly in terms that a grown-up cannot see it, but definitely you have to remember that your audience is young people that now they're learning about the world, about their feelings, about simple things. So you have to bring this in to your world. But I always keep my own ideas and my own themes that I like to explore. I am bringing them into the play. So there is a play about a grandma. She wants to make an apple pie. It's as simple as that. And she doesn't have apples. She has only cherries. So she's going around trying to exchange the cherries for apples. So this is simple. This is something that teaches children that you can exchange and you can collaborate, but it's always the theme of giving to the others and always keep trying for what you want to succeed. So for me, that's a theme and something that I believe. So I'm just adjusting this theme for the right kind of audience. So I always like to have this in mind. So don't forget your beliefs just because you're writing for a specific audience.
So I suppose there's the sort of saying, don't treat your audience like stupid, basically. Like they're not stupid. It's like, okay, you may be writing for children and they may obviously have the same intellect as older, but it's kind of like, yeah, how much like do you have that in mind when you're writing? Like, how much are you like making sure you're not kind of dumbing it down, essentially?
Well, I still have to like it, and I still have other people our age to like it, because if you've got the feelings there, the emotions, and a strong story, you just not simplify it, but you make it simple for the younger ones to understand. So don't make something silly or stupid because you think that a 5-year-old cannot get it. They can definitely do. You just break it into small pieces so they can follow up the story. But it's all about emotions. It's all about characters, arc, and how they change. It's not a change of somebody who wanted to kill themselves, but they see that life is wonderful. But it's more about a grandma who is trying to give up, but then she doesn't, and she finally makes the apple pie. And even the more complicated stories I've written about, let's say, Mark the Cat is about a cat who wants to change because a little puppy comes to their family and he believes that he's not loved anymore. So it has the theme of the welcoming of a younger sibling, which is something that a 3-year-old can be related to, because he might have the same problem. But again, it's all about feelings. It's about a story. It's about somebody who has a journey and has an end, a beginning, a middle, and the end.
Thanks very much for all your input. Now it's time for the second round of the quiz. It's now time for the second round of the Tagline Movie Quiz. Let's just have a quick reminder of the scores. Okay, so far we've got Gary with 3 points, and we've got Eleanna with a lonely one. But anyway, you've got a second chance to redeem yourself in 3, 2, 1. Okay, if you want the job done right, hire a professional. So it's Natalie Portman's first film, or one of her
Leon.
first. Yep, well done.
Wow.
A U Powers Rising. It's part of a trilogy.
Star Wars.
No. So there's been 2 trilogies
Lord
of it
the
now.
Rings.
Which one?
Batman? Spider-Man.
There's a different name for it in America, which is quite controversial because of obviously what
Harry
happened
Potter and the
on 9/11.
Sorcerer's Stone.
No.
The Prisoner.
So Hobbits.
The Hobbits.
The journey and a very long
Okay,
journey.
Lord of the Rings, 2 Towers. Life is in their hands, death is on their minds.
12 Angry Men.
Well done. Free your mind. So it's about being jacked in. It's like you got like a place called Zion. You got a character called Neo.
Matrix.
Whoever saves one life saves the world entire. It's like I think it's about the sort of Nazis and one of the wars.
Schindler's List.
Yeah, Schindler's List.
Oh, well
How
done.
much can you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight?
Fight
Fight
Club.
Club.
Yep, so that was the last question. Well done, Gary. Okay, let's just quickly count up the scores to find out the results. Looks like Gary's got quite a few. Gary's got 5 points. Now, Eleanna, have you redeemed yourself? No, you've got 4 points.
Almost there.
So that means Gary's the winner.
Well done.
Thank you.
Very well done. And well, thanks very much for taking part in the quiz and today's show. And if you, audience at home, have anything to say about the topics we've discussed today, then please tweet me. And I hope to see you next time.